From outside the hearing room, Phil Jones begins our detailed coverage of a day when elected officials finally got their turn to question North, and North revealed plans for a super secret CIA that could operate outside the law.
For many members of the congressional committees, today's testimony was the most alarming yet. Lieutenant Colonel North disclosed efforts that had been made by former CIA Director William Casey to use the Iranian arms profits for what some committee members described as a government outside the government.
The director was interested in the ability to go to an existing, as he put it, off-the-shelf, self-sustaining, stand-alone entity that could perform certain activities on behalf of the United States.
North argued that there was nothing wrong with what was done, a view certainly not shared by all the investigators.
The creation and the maintenance of a secret government within our government. The business before us is very serious.
To all you've gone through, are you not shocked that the Director of Central Intelligence is proposing to you the creation of an organization to do these kinds of things outside of his own organization?
Counsel, I can tell you I'm not shocked. I don't see that it was necessarily inconsistent with the laws, regulations, statutes, and all that obtain.
And I understand where you were because you assumed that the president knew.
I did.
And I understand your position. But I hope you understand what I am disturbed about.
I do.
That there is not a single official elected by the people of this great nation that had any knowledge of that.
North again today appeared to absolve the president of any knowledge of the Contra diversion.
I do not recall ever discussing with the president the use of the residuals to support the Nicaraguan freedom fighters.
North was also questioned about the pressure he had faced from President Reagan to get the hostages out of Lebanon.
I mean, the president never turned to me and said, "Ali, I want them home by Christmas." It was very clear that the president wanted as many Americans home, all of them home, as fast as possible.
North again today cast some questions on the conduct of the Secretaries of State and Defense. Both have maintained they were opposed to the Iranian arms sales.
And I kind of get the feeling, Counsel, that there were a lot of people who were kind of willing to let it go along, hoping against hope that it would succeed, and willing to walk away when it failed. I'm not necessarily advocating that that's the way things ought to be, but this was a high-risk venture.
Were you present at any meetings where the Secretary of Defense expressed his objection to the whole transaction?
No.
Were you present at any meetings at which the Secretary of State expressed his objections to the whole transaction?
Not that I recall.
Did there ever come a moment when you asked yourself, why doesn't the Secretary of State agree with me? Why doesn't the Secretary of Defense agree with me?
They don't have to agree with me.
Security around Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North was in a heightened state of alert on his fourth day of testimony before the Iran-Contra committees. Sources told CBS News that they had received a report of a possible assassination attempt against North, possibly involving Palestinian terrorists associated with Abu Nidal. However, tonight, officials indicated they believe the report was a hoax. Up until today, committee members conceded that the lieutenant colonel had taken this political hill, but the questioning focusing today on North's involvement with Casey in using the arms profits for other secret operations, one investigator said, "I think we drew a little blood." Dan?